Hello everybody and welcome back to the channel. For today's video, I wanted to talk to you today about intuition, following your heart, and loving yourself. So let's jump in. So today I wanted to talk to you about your intuition and following your heart, being truly authentic to yourself. This is after you have left the narcissist relationship and you've been on your healing journey and you've gotten to a place to where you are somewhat fully healed and looking for that life partner, your soulmate. I wanted to go over a few things because it helps you understand maybe and clarify sometimes why you're not receiving what you feel like you deserve, or what's going to help you to get through that healing process to the point to where you start attracting what you deserve. Okay, so a lot of times you went down pathways that people didn't think anyone could go down or come back from. You were counted out. You were the type of person that ended up, when they least expected it, you came rolling around the corner. You had glowed up, y'all. You came back in a major way. The pathway you went down, they just didn't think there was any coming back from it. You were over. You were, in their mind, you were old news. They were still siphoning off of you for the longest time, because after you leave a narcissist and you feel like you detach, the ruminations come off, you still can be corded up, or they can be corded up to you, or you haven't fully let go. You have to get to that place in that point in time where you fully let go. You energetically tell yourself, tell the Lord that you're done with it. You're not going to war with it anymore. You're not going to think about it anymore. And you're going to put that confusion to rest, because that's what it ends up being. It ends up taking up a lot of time and a lot of energy for stuff that's not lined up for you. You know, things that line up for you a lot of times are going to be things that just click in. They're going to be more natural and easier than a lot of people make you feel and believe. And that's because a lot of people don't want to end things that are not good for them. They want to continue to fight for stuff because they don't want to go through the pain of detaching, the pain of letting go, the sorrow that comes with it, the depression, the anxiety, or the paranoia from maybe being alone for a time and scared on what's next or what it's going to be like without that individual in your life. And letting go in some instances may be able to come back in your life for sometimes a different position. Sometimes people get back together, and I'm not saying that you can't do that, but what I am saying is when something's toxic or something has ended and it's just not in your life's purpose, it's best to end it. Because if you're going to do something with somebody later on down the road, it could be the same person in some cases, you will start fresh from there, because you'll be maybe two different people, or at least you'll be able to look at it from a fresh point of view and let it be natural, because that's the way things always end up being as far as what is right for you. You strive for achievements in places you're trying to better yourself. But when it comes to relationships and things, when they're over, you know they're over, and a lot of times you don't want to let go. And I get that, and that's why I want to go over this, because the path that you chose, a lot of times these individuals, when we're talking about narcissism and narcissistic individuals, toxic people, a lot of times you were probably in the very beginning a toxic enabler. You became that. Maybe you wouldn't see yourself as that originally, but you were also duped and tricked into it. But over time, the longer you stay with someone, you become a toxic enabler, and it does become partly your fault, especially if you want somebody to heal from that nonsense. They're not going to heal when they have all these enablers surrounding them. And that's the problem, is they were brought up with enablers. They were either feared, or they were some sort of golden child with a silver spoon. Whether they were rich or not doesn't matter. And they had people making decisions for them. They didn't have to make hard decisions because they always had somebody there doing it for them. They always were there supplying all their needs. All they had to do was whine about it. Or people that were abused just took charge and became some sort of an aggressor, an abuser themselves, a bully or a tyrant. So when you leave these individuals, you go down a different path because the betrayal that it leads to, it's definitely something that shakes your whole life apart. Generally, if you've really poured into somebody and have had them betray you in a major way, had them break you down and destroy you 10 times over, well, it wakes you up. It wakes you up to your true purpose, understanding they were the black sheep in their household growing up, and the abuse and the mistreatment or the neglect was just because you were strongest one in the family, and God had a strong purpose on your life, an anointing, a mantle for you to carry, a job for you to do. And you end up going down a pathway that's different. People didn't think anyone could come back from it. The pathway you chose and the pathway that they pushed you down through all the betrayal, all the envy, deceit, and the lying. And, you come back, you're coming back in a major way. And that's why people have counted you out, because you took a path that was not well traveled on. A lot of times in this world, society will tell us what paths we can choose. They lead us and they herd us into certain mentalities and certain ways of thinking. Things that we should be doing and things we shouldn't be doing according to society, not according to your own ethics, morals, and values that line up with the Almighty. To be a free thinker, to be well voiced, to be well heard, is what you will become, strengthened and emboldened by this experience, because you will become a generational curse breaker to clean your blood from all of this misuse and abuse, instead of becoming that toxic enabler and absorbing all that negative energy for somebody else to go out there and perpetuate evil with your energy. You smartened up. You were called out. You were called amongst the crowd. Many are called and few are chosen. If you heed the call to the light, if you follow the sun, I always used to say this when I started this channel, well, the one on YouTube. If you always head towards the light, maybe you weren't in the past, but today, tomorrow, the next day, meaning it doesn't matter how depressed you are, how anxious you are, what your story has been, it narrows down to the decisions you made, the company you keep, and the people that you choose to be around. And when you make good choices every day from here on out, your life will change dramatically, and God will start to pour blessings into your life. If you have ironclad boundaries with toxic individuals, people that are no good and people that aren't righteous, you build good boundaries, and that shows that you are beginning to love yourself. You're starting to respect yourself when you build good boundaries that ward off evil and evildoers that are abusers. They're users and they give you bad counsel. They're out for financial gain and only things that are in the 3D, what we see, what we do, and what objects we can acquire, what titles we can receive. And a lot of times those are titles that individuals that think like the narcissist would be just titles so that they can use power and control and inflict more harm on good individuals, sometimes through what should be a place of power for justice, but they turned it into evil. We need to be a beacon of light, a beacon of hope. So if you follow the sun every day, and the sun is always shining, there's clouds out and the sun is always still out there shining. It may be covered up today, but it's there, y'all. The sun will rise again. In those days of dire straits, you just need to focus on the grind and make good decisions. And if you continue to make good decisions, not looking at what you're facing, it will change. And it will change drastically and dramatically. And what you need, God always supplies your needs. He is the one that also supplies abundance. But what he really does, he supplies your provision for anything that you need to do. Any debts that you have and any contracts that you may have, you can break them in a righteous way. You can find your way out. The Lord will lead you quicker than you could ever imagine. And that's what faith brings. When you begin to walk in heeding the call of your intuition as you hone it, you will get those nudges of individuals that are red flagging you so that you stay away. You will get in tune with your spirit. You will become authentic in your presence, because what got you in this situation in the first place, ego, is your false self. We all have a false self. The problem is the narcissist lives in it, and they have lived in it so long that they build a fantasy around imaginations, illusions. Then they get into controlled substances and different addictions that make their illusions even more believable to them and more delusional. And they end up being delusional individuals, and the longer you're with them and the more toxicity they throw on you, the more delusional you become. So you end up taking that gravel road and not that major highway like the rest of society when you wake up to narcissism. You know you need to be ethically and morally sound that you need to walk in truth and justice. You want your yeses to be yes and your no's to be no, to live by your word and your integrity. To have those boundaries is to protect you from individuals that you can't have biddings with, because they're not ever going to give you reciprocity. They're never going to give you equal scales. They're always going to be out trying to trick people into persuading them to do evil. And when you do go into contrast, covenants, and consents with evil, then you lose all of your blessings. Those are little portals that will suck the blessing out of your life. And that's what the narcissist does. They come into your life and they take all your moral ethics and value. They get you broke down to a place to where you have no boundaries. And then they use and abuse you and have power and supremacy over you and rule you like a tyrant, like a dictatorship. Nobody likes a dictator. You always need strong counsel around a single individual so that you don't become wayward yourself. And not feeling love is a major problem in society today. Individuals that do not feel love do not feel remorse for the things that they do. They don't feel like they have to apologize. They feel entitled, arrogant in their ways, and they're only out for gains of the 3D: money, finances, objects, power, control, and titles, beauty, and manipulations to use and abuse others. Become sadistic in their ways and malignant in the way that they operate. They are a cancerous agent of darkness. And can they turn around? I don't know. I have not seen one yet on any platform. Even though individuals are self-aware, they still don't feel love. They don't feel the things that we feel. They still have to act it out, and we don't know what they're doing behind the scenes. We also don't hear them talking about the Spirit of God that saved them or had any kind of major effect on their life. And it would definitely take something along the lines of a spiritual care and psychological care and good counsel, just to start. Forgiving everybody is a hard thing to do sometimes when you were the innocent individual, but it's something that is necessary for you to walk in true abundance. And when you walk in your authenticity, it draws you closer to God. That road that you walk, that's the unorthodox road. You come back, you're coming back in a major way, and you were counted out. And it causes collapse in those individuals' lives, because you have to be down and out for them to be in some sort of grandiose feeling that they have won against you. And when you get above and beyond what they ever thought you would become, that they couldn't break you, they couldn't hurt you. In fact, they led to you being more empowered, more in control, better self-control, the courage to walk that path that they can't. They get to pride and they fall back down to shame, because they don't ever have the ability to take the reins of their own life and make it to courage where they can take that mask off and just be who they truly are. And this causes narcissist injuries in their life and leads to a narcissistic collapse, which will usually utterly destroy them down to the ground. And a lot of times they will never be the same. You will be the one that got away, and you will be a marker in their life where things started to downturn for them, because you were the karma or the negative reaping for everybody else that they destroyed in the background in the past, that didn't have the courage or didn't have the strength or have the ability to walk the path that you did. And you walked it out, and you were walking karma for them. That's what you become. It catches people off guard in a major way, in a massive way. You may have not had moments to where things made complete sense to you, but you walked in your faith in the very beginning. Moment to moment and time after time and day after day, it started to grow. Your faith started to come into fruition, and it became tangible. It was something that you can visualize and touch, and you started to understand that I can do this, that I was meant to do this, that I was called out to do this, and that I was made to sit with the king, y'all. I'm not taking the crumbs anymore. So you take the reins of your life and you go down the unpredictable pathways, the ones that are less walked on, the ones that take courage to go down in an unorthodox way, your life's purpose, in a provocative way, but you follow your intuition. That intuition is power from the Spirit of God that leads you and directs you in your authenticity. Your heart is what is so great about you. If you're empathic, if you're a chosen one, if you're a curse breaker, you are a heartfelt individual. And you can't let go of loving people or keep from expanding that essence of you. You just have to understand it. It has to have order to it, emotional control, and soundness. You can't always think with your emotions. You can't. It will get you hemmed up. It will get you ensnared by the enemy and the enemy's tricks. You have to vet people. And some people you just can't be vulnerable with. And a lot of times, narcissists, you have to block them out of your life, them and their arrogance, because they haven't learned. And that's the problem. It's not that we don't forgive. We don't forgive. We should never forget. But to give them as many chances as we've given them. And then when you learn the ideology of narcissism, the pathway that it takes, it's a fixed situation. When an individual doesn't learn from their mistakes and they continually walk in folly, how they maneuver through people's lives to trick and to lie and to manipulate them again and again, any which way, just to accomplish whatever goal they have in mind, and then to throw them out like trash. Well, you have to learn from that. You can't be compassionate to those individuals. You have to be compassionate to yourself by having boundaries and blocking them, to not being vulnerable with certain individuals. When they've hurt you bad enough to where they've almost put you under the dirt and laughed and mocked you and walked away while they hopped in the new supplies car and rode off chuckling in the past. You have to learn from those mistakes and have the order and the balance in your life so that you can liberate yourself from these situations and start walking down a pathway of purity and loving yourself, having only good contracts, covenants, and consents on what you let into your life and what you put your money, time, and finances into, and the company you keep, loving yourself and walking in your true authenticity. They were preying on your downfall, but I know my purpose on this earth is bigger than me. Every time I'm lost, I will find my way. The light that shines my path, the lantern that directs me, that lights my way. For you, O Lord, are the blueprint for my success, and only you can bring understanding to the truth of who I'm to be. I can no longer stress living in my blessing. I am a soldier on a mission to protect my peace, even if it's to the enemy. I know you, O God, are my authority, not knowing what tomorrow's going to bring. I stand for what is right. I know I will be blessed and good things will come to me. So if you can give me a like, subscription, and thumbs up, learn to love like you do, but just have order and emotional control to it. Look for the red flags, walk in your authenticity, have ironclad boundaries, and love yourself. And your intuition will lead you. Love you all till next time. Peace. We out.